list in all sports?
Okay, here we go. MJ. Like, that for me, number one. And I'm that girl who had the dunk, the John Starks poster on her wall growing up, and I still loved MJ. Just because even if you hated him, even if you hated your team having to play him, you had to respect his game, right? Next, this is not in any particular order, so don't come at me on Twitter. Next, Tom Brady. Because even as old as Tom Brady is, he still walks around like he's that 6th-round pick. This man just came off a Super Bowl win, and you know what he's thinking about? How am I going to get another one? And that's why he's the GOAT. Serena Williams. What more do I need to say? Now, here's where it gets interesting. I think Janae will find this interesting. I have Babe Ruth. You know why? Because what other athlete has a curse named after him? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are that good that an entire franchise and a fan base is saying, like, Red Sox fans was like, we're cursed because we paid for that man to go play for the Yankees, then you gotta be all-time GOAT, right? And the last one, Wayne Gretzky. Now, I've covered some hockey in my day. It might not look like I have, but I have. And if your nickname is the Great One, you damn sure better be on the Mount Rushmore of athletes. So Wayne Gretzky, that dude, he was the man when he was 9 years old, and he grew up to become the greatest hockey player of all time. So that's my list. Well, you guys, Janae.
All right. That's a pretty solid list. That's a pretty good list. And, you know, being great is awesome. And I'm going to switch it up for mine a little bit. I'm going to start where you started, Kimberly. Obviously, Michael Jordan, the same way I gave props to Lisa Leslie not too long ago when we talked about our GOATs in the women's game. You know, being at the intersection of the game transitioning, that's MJ, so you have to be happy for that. Again, 6 finals, and, you know, LeBron James is chasing that standard, which has made this whole conversation super fun. I am the greatest. Muhammad Ali. I mean, the only 3-time final heavyweight champion in boxing history, not just for what he did, you know, with his time as an athlete, but what he stood for and meant to our culture in a time that really needed him the most. And then, of course, I got to agree with you on Tom Brady there. So this is, you know, you guys know I'm on Shenango Jr. 4 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You guys
like
join
that.
me here all the time. Marcus Spears coming through with the truth. Kimberly and Martin joining in. And so you guys know, I have been all in on football this year. You know, I'm from Texas, so it's sort of in my blood. And the fact that Tom Brady at age 43 has already 7 Super Bowls, and I'm looking at the way the NFC is set up, he can make a run again next year, which is wild. He's on the list. I have Tiger Woods. And I know, and Serena Williams are sort of the same type of argument for what they sort of did transforming the sport. I mean, obviously it was a scary time not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, dealing with the car crash, but we all were able to, you know, celebrate and rally behind what he has meant to the sport, knowing that we may not see much more, you know, in the future, but we're still rooting for him in his recovery. And the way he has been able to win from the child prodigy and then delivering, very similar in a way that we talk about LeBron James being that young kid from Akron that sort of has delivered and still is going. What Tiger Woods has done, you know, for the game of golf has just inspired so many. And then I think Serena was last on my list, right? And she did the same thing for tennis, but man, in a dominant fashion. And she sort of changed not just how we perceive, you know, athletes overall, but women, allowing them to be fierce and female and competitive. And she's still going as well, which is really fun. So rare that we get to see Tom Brady and Serena Williams still compete to this day. So we really have to appreciate that.
Yeah, I love both of y'all. Listen, we trending in the same direction. I have Ali, who I believe is the greatest of all time in any sport. So that's actually a separation for me when we have a GOAT conversation. To me, Ali is the GOAT of GOATs. All right, and then I have Serena, obviously. You guys have pointed it out, but I know like the most impressive thing that I've seen Serena Williams do is continue to have a level of consistency in her play, even when she didn't win the championships or win the majors in what she competed in. And then let's not even get started about coming back from giving birth and balling the way she balled on the court. And then Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is simple for me. Tom Brady forces his way into this conversation. He's won 7 Super Bowls. That's the hardest thing to do than any other person on my list. I'm telling y'all, and it's not because I'm a football guy. It's so many moving parts in order for you to win that many championships and have your type of imprint on it. Next, LeBron James for me. Like, if we encompassing everything, LeBron James, obviously, we know what he is on the court. And in no particular order, because I don't feel like arguing with people over this. But LeBron James has a school right now where kids are going. There's a college in Akron where they're going to school for free. We know about his athletic feats and accomplishments, and we really don't have a great appreciation for it because he's still in the middle of writing that story. And then MJ. MJ changed the landscape of how we view athletes. He was the first guy that crossed, to me, to popularity in a generation just before mine, but old enough to understand, where it was more than just basketball when you talked about Michael Jordan. It had so much more to do than 6 championships and what he had accomplished. Jordan is a thing of himself. So that's my all-time GOATs list.
Look at you, putting both of them on the same list, LeBron and Michael Jordan. You don't want the smoke?
He doesn't want the smoke. He doesn't want to hear from anybody.
Well,
He already said it. Do not come at Marcus today. He is not here for it.
No,
I think all of you had really good lists.
Less.
But I think I, personally, if I have to side with one person on here, it's all love, everybody. Chene, you got my vote.
Yes!
Best GOAT list.
Let's
Best
go.
GOAT list. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, this has been so much fun. This was the First Take, Her Take over. Everybody, make sure you listen to the First Take, Her Take podcast. New episode dropped today. Robin Roberts was our very special guest.
Her Take.
Marcus, thanks for joining us too. Everybody, this has been First Take. And don't forget tomorrow, Tuesday, in which Miami Heat's Myers Leonard can be heard using an anti-Semitic slur during a video game live stream. Leonard has since issued an apology, and the Heat organization has also issued a statement condemning Leonard's actions in any form of hate speech. All right, we got the crew joining us back here. We have Kimberly A. Martin, Marcus Spears. Now, Chene, moving forward, how do you believe that the NBA should punish Leonard for his actions?
Well, I think they've already, started with the first step, he having an indefinite leave from the team. Mind you that, he's not playing currently based on shoulder surgery. But I think the big takeaway from this conversation, and it's something that we can take, introspectively, is there's zero tolerance policy when it comes to hate speech, especially in public, but just period in life. And what Myers Leonard said, first and foremost, I had to go and educate myself so that I know that, for it to even be in his lexicon was a little bit surprising considering I hadn't even heard of the word. But then now to go and make sure that, you see the apology, are you going to keep that same energy in contrition with those you offended, outside of just posting something on social media? And so, this is something that I think we're all sort of opening new eyes to, especially after 2020, when it comes to the Black community, the white community, having these conversations, the Asian community, the Jewish community. How does our, verbiage and just how we move affect one another? And this comes, all, bubbling to the surface with what he said. And it wasn't just, the one community that was mentioned. I mean, just other words that he had surrounding what he said, could have been used as, sexist to some people that might be fans of the league, fans of his team, fans of himself overall. And so I think they started down the right path, the NBA, with investigating first and foremost, making sure that there's an indefinite leave so that everyone that is affected, right, will have time to sit with their feelings, because everyone's feelings are valid when you experience something so profane, right? And then also now it's the act of contrition of making sure that you educate yourself as to why, even if you didn't know what you said was offensive, what you said still happened on your own time and on your own dime. And so making sure you go to every party involved and show genuine, apologetic nature. And so, this was something that caught me off guard yesterday. And this is something that, we're having these conversations in the world of sports I never expected. But it is the reality of just conversations in real life, and now using the platform of this to share with people that hate speech, zero tolerance, period. And that's the standard that teams should have, especially when it comes to their conduct. And it will be on the Miami Heat to deal with this moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, Janae, I think I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kim. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Marcus, you're our guest today. You're with us, so you can go ahead. You can talk.
Not a chance. If you were supposed to roll, you roll. You roll, Kim.
All right, Kimberly, you're up.
Well, if it's zero tolerance, right? What is a reasonable punishment? Because I don't see how you can be the owner of the Miami Heat, front office exec. I don't know how you can feel okay with what is said. Any player, any teammate. And the fact that he's not even on the court right now, I think it almost, that's what I want to see, because he's not, you can't just say, hey, we're going to sit him, one game, we're going to do this. Like, that's not even an option right now. Are you going to fine him? What tangible evidence are we going to see as far as him taking the next step and educating himself? Just saw on Twitter, Julian Edelman, he had tweeted at Myers Leonard. So we'll see if those two connect, for that education session. But yeah, no, there's no place for that in any sport in our society. And it's clear that he knew, at the very least, he knew it was an offensive word. He knew that he used it in a negative way. So that off the bat, to me, that's a no-go.
Yeah, listen, it depends. Like, I like what Miami did. And for individuals that's trying to determine whether they want to forgive Myers Leonard or figure out if he actually knew what he was saying, I'm not here for all that. Like, we in 2021. Your education on how you should approach people, talk about things, words you should and shouldn't use should be at the forefront of your brain. Like, that is a moot point to me. For education, yes, I'm with it. As a part of your process of dealing with the consequences of you using words out of turn, words that are disrespectful, words describing a group of people that shouldn't exist in your vocabulary. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about free speech. We ain't talking about none of that. We're talking about things words that are used to denigrate a segment of people. So the bottom line is, whatever the responsibility is for Myers Leonard to rectify or come to terms with what he did, but also use this time to educate himself and all of that. I'm just not here anymore for people talking about grown people making a mistake about words that they use. We are a generation. We are a generation of people with access to all the information we can possibly stand.
All the information.
Damn near too much information. So it's always when these situations arise, well, I didn't know that offended people the way it did, or I didn't know the real term or the meaning of that word. That could be true. You know what it means when you don't know the meaning of it? Don't use the damn word. Facts. Right? Like, so exactly. It is simple for me. Myers Leonard needs to atone for his speech and how that affects a group of people, but he also needs to carry the responsibility of saying the word and not let it be off-put by saying, I didn't know that would affect people like it has. So listen, we get on television, we talk when these things arise. Deshaun Jackson went through it. He went through learning and talking about this and understanding the pain and the things. So I agree, Myers Leonard should go through those same things. And I'm not a big cancel culture dude. Like, I don't believe that you can't be, some things can be rectified. Some things for Marcus, I'm speaking for me, I don't think you can come back from, or I'm not going to at least allow you in my mind to come back from it. I'll always look at you in a certain way when things like that arise. But the bottom line is, like, the excuse of I don't know or I didn't have an idea what that word meant, don't put that in y'all apologies when y'all say dumb stuff. Whoever is the next person to say something dumb.
Yeah.